In the last episode of WTF Brutus, after 3 generations, this dude Brutus was born in Italy. He was really good at killing his parents, so his extended family told him to GTFO. Always the optimist, Brutus saw this as an opportunity for a road trip, and wound up in Greece where he met some Trojan slaves and found out that he was descended from them. Being a fanboy of the Iliad and pissy at the Greeks for enslaving his homies, he went all Metal Gear Solid on them and stealth killed their armies and managed to free the Trojans. He got some castles, some boats, and a Greek waifu out of the deal. Now he, the freed Trojans, and his hopefully Stockholm Syndrome waifu are living the dream of traveling the world while looking for the best real estate, regardless of whether anyone is already living there or not. Now that we're caught up, let's check back on Brutus and his crew. Brutus occupies the island of Albion, Part 2. So, Brutus and company start out just sailing around randomly for 2 days and nights when they happen upon an abandoned island. Brutus sends out 300 armed dudes to butcher the local wildlife and to explore. The group finds a deserted city with a temple dedicated to the goddess Diana. Conveniently, there's a statue of the goddess that answers any question asked. Think of it like an old-school, sexy version of Google. The crew heads back and tells Brutus, "Hey, there's a talking statue that answers questions. We should give it some of our barbecue and ask it where we should plant our roots." And Brutus is like, "That makes sense, because that's just how things used to be in your grandpappy's time." Brutus takes someone whose name I'm sure I'm going to butcher, 𝗷𝗫𝗄𝗃. Who the hell is he? I don't know, it's the first time he's mentioned. And 12 unnamed old dudes, and heads to the temple to do some ritualistic stuffs. Basically, he wraps his head in some cloth, sets up some hearths, walks in circles while repeatedly chanting, and offers food to an inanimate object. It's pretty much like what you might see a homeless person do outside your favorite coffee joint. I guess this sort of thing's tiring though, because Brutus and his 13 bros take a cat nap before receiving any results. While sleeping, Brutus dreams that the goddess Diana points him to the prime real estate that he and the Trojans are destined for. In short, she says, "Brutus, my man, head west, and go past France and then hang a right. There's this cool island where giants roam around. Go there and get it on a lot." Brutus wakes up and is at least somewhat rational, like, "Yo dog, did I just hallucinate or did this bitch talk to me?" But his 13 bros are all, "YOLO, let's do this!" So they head back to the boat and peace out to what will eventually be known as Britain. Currently, it is known as Albion. But there are no GPSs in this time, and what does west mean? And I mean really. I don't know if Brutus was intending to just go on an RPG adventure, or if he just does not follow directions well, or, maybe he just has no attention span. So, first, they head to the altars of the Philistines, which is freaking east. Then after that, they sail to, I don't know if I'm saying this right, 𝗧cie𝗍𝗶𝗄, where they're attacked by pirates. But that's okay, because they have, like I mentioned earlier, an RPG battle. And they get all their booty. So maybe he did intend to go on an RPG adventure, and that kind of makes this make a little more sense. But then forgetting the directions to head west again, they go south to Mauritania. And they're so starved at this point that they've ravaged the land for food and resources, because planning, what's that? Then Brutus remembers, oh yeah, I was supposed to go north after heading west. Then they make it to the Pillars of Heracles, where they're attacked by sirens. So, another RPG fight, they escape, and they manage to find 4 generations born to some exiles from Troy. Convenient, I guess. The book doesn't specify where this takes place, so I'm gonna guess Spain, considering where they are on the map. Then they meet this cool dude named Corineus. Remember him, because Cornwall is later named after him. They recruit said cool dude, and they continue this heading north trend because it seems to be paying off. Maybe they should have listened to that goddess chick a bit earlier. Then they wind up in Aquitaine, which is in France. That's where they chill for the next 7 days. Oh boy, another name. I'm just gonna call this guy Gopher. So Gopher, the king of Aquitaine, he notices that there's a large freaking fleet that just landed in his kingdom. So he sends out some messengers to ask, "Hi, large fleet you got there? War or nah?" But the messengers run into Corineus and 200 of his men who are hunting at the time. The messengers are pissed because ain't just anybody can hunt the king's deer. But Corineus responds, "It's cool, permission unnecessary." Then one of the messengers goes YOLO mode and attacks Corineus. But Corineus breaks his head into pieces with his own bow. Rule number 1, don't mess with Corineus. I don't think Amnesty International would be okay with this. Perhaps unsurprisingly, this incites a war. During the battle, Brutus is impressed at Corineus' ability to slice people in two with his battle axe, as well as his epic shit-talking. Said shit-talking incites some of the armies into being baited into getting sliced in half by Corineus' previously stated battle axe skills, which are apparently maxed out. Poor King Gopher is driven to seek help from the 12 other kings in this country, who swear that they will assuredly drive these invaders out of Aquitaine. Brutus, who is a fan of being a warmonger in Civilization 5, rejoices in the victory, and sacks and burns all of the cities he encounters, butchering even the innocent townsfolk and peasants, his plan being to exterminate every last person. Silly Brutus. Don't you know that it's more beneficial in the long run to create puppet cities? At least he's nice enough to share the spoils of war with his soldiers. Anyways, after ravaging nearly all of Aquitaine, Brutus comes to a place he will eventually establish as the city of Tours in France. This becomes his base of operations and place of temporary retreat in case of war, which, yeah, war starts back up again because Gopher and his fellow Gauls... Hold on a sec. Okay, Gauls. So Gopher and his fellow Gauls are pissed, understandably. Gopher gives a speech that basically says, "F these a-holes." His troops are motivated, but then sadly, they lose about 2,000 people fighting Brutus. Though they have a bit of a comeback and they manage to drive the Trojans back to their camp. This would have been fine with Brutus except for the fact that they end up trapped here. The Gauls are hopeful that they can either slaughter them or just keep them trapped until they starve or become enslaved. Fun stuff. Corineus, though, he ain't about that life. So he comes up with a plan that Brutus approves of, where they will basically perform a pincer attack on the Gauls. Does it work? Of course it does. Brutus is a Gary Stew. But there are other badasses who help to pull this off, such as Turnus, a fellow who manages to single-handedly kill 600 Gaul soldiers before he is defeated. He's the fellow the city Tours is named after. So, to speed this up, because it's already way too long, Brutus and his Trojan homies win this fight, they pinch the army, and then when the Gauls start to panic, the Trojans chase down and slaughter anyone who remains. But Brutus is starting to get anxious because he's lost quite a few troops by this point, and when you're just some rampaging barbarians on the world map, you tend to find that countries have a lot more people than you do. He figures, yeah, I've enjoyed this side quest, leveled up a fair bit, got some good loot, but it's really time to get back to the main quest. So they saddle up, head back to the ships where the women and children have been chilling this whole time, and head north finally. What was the point of that, you ask? 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗁𝗲𝗄, of course! Also, Brutus figures he needed to level up a bit since there's a boss battle ahead. But that will have to wait for part 3. Thanks for watching! I hope it was enjoyable. Any parts in particular that interested you? Did I mispronounce or misinterpret anything important? Please leave a comment below. I look forward to learning together with all of you, my history homies. Yeah, I know this isn't exactly history, but it was written by someone nearly a millennium ago. That makes it historical, at least. Anyways, please stay tuned for part 3.
God, that was violent. I blame the sea.